The world was spinning, a thick, greasy fog clinging to my thoughts. My granddaughter Zoe snatched the pill organizer from my hand. "Grandma, who gave you these?" "Marcus, dear. He organizes my vitamins." Her face went white. "These aren't vitamins." "Call 911. No, wait. Don't call anyone. We're leaving, now." Before we dive into what Zoe found in that little plastic box, I want to welcome you to Twisted Airs. This is the place where we know that getting older doesn't mean getting weaker. It means you've had more time to sharpen your claws. If you believe the truth always finds the light, hit that subscribe button and leave a comment telling us what city you're listening from. We're building a community that knows the most dangerous secrets are the ones kept in the family. Now, back to the day my life fell apart. The fog had been rolling in for months.
That's what I called it.
I'd wake up in this big empty house, the one my late husband Arthur built with his own 2 hands, and the corners of the room would feel soft, blurry. My name is Eleanor Vance. I'm 72 years old, and for the past 6 weeks, I'd been blaming the dizziness on old age. My son Marcus said it was normal. "Mom, you're not as spry as you used to be," he'd say, patting my hand, his voice soaked in that fake, syrupy concern. "You gotta take it easy." Marcus, my finance guy, my rock. He'd taken over everything since Arthur died of a stroke 3 years ago. The portfolio, the taxes, even my grocery lists. Every Sunday, like clockwork, he'd drive up from Portland in his slick graphite gray sedan, bringing bagels and his laptop. He'd sit at Arthur's big oak desk, the one in the study, and balance my books. About 2 months ago, I'd had a little spill. I tripped over the edge of the Persian rug in the hall. It was nothing really, a bruised hip, but Marcus freaked out. He insisted I was getting dangerously forgetful. That's when the pill organizer appeared. "It's just to help you, Mom," he'd said, his smile not quite reaching his eyes. "A few extra vitamins for memory, your blood pressure pill, and a little something to keep you relaxed." "You've been so anxious." I trusted him. Why wouldn't I? He was my son. My daughter Brenda was just as bad. Only her weapon was the phone. She'd call 3 times a day. "How are you feeling, Mommy? Are you dizzy? Marcus said you sounded confused yesterday. You're not trying to do the stairs alone, are you?" She and her husband Rick were always worried. Worried about my health. Worried about the house being too big. Worried about the burden of the estate. Last Christmas, Brenda spent an hour asking me where I kept the good silver and Arthur's collection of antique watches. Just for insurance purposes, she'd claimed. I'd been managing. Or so I thought. But the fog was getting thicker. I'd find myself standing in the kitchen, holding the kettle, with no memory of why I'd picked it up. I stopped driving. I stopped calling my garden club friends. It was just easier to stay on the couch, wrapped in the Afghan Brenda had sent, a hideously expensive thing that felt like steel wool. I was sitting right there, trying to focus on a game show when the doorbell rang. It wasn't Sunday. Marcus wasn't due. I shuffled to the door, my slippers scraping the hardwood. When I opened it, my heart did a little flip. It was Zoe, my granddaughter. Marcus's daughter, Zoe, was the family black sheep, which meant she was the only one I actually liked. She'd dropped out of business school, to Marcus's absolute fury, and was working as a pharmacy tech while she figured out what she really wanted. She had purple streaks in her hair, a ring in her nose, and the sharpest, clearest eyes I'd ever seen. We hadn't seen her in 6 months. Marcus had a blowout fight with her over her dead-end job. "Grandma," she said, pushing her sunglasses up. Then her face just fell. "Jesus, Grandma, you look like hell." "That's a fine way to greet your elder, young lady," I tried to tease, but my voice came out thin. Come in." She didn't move. She just stared at me. "I was in the area. I missed you. But what's wrong? You look gray." "Oh, it's just this," I said, waving a hand around my head. "The fog. Your father has me on some new vitamins." Zoe stepped inside, her eyes scanning the living room, the layer of dust on the mantel, the stack of unread mail on the table. She wasn't her father's daughter for nothing. She was a noticer. "Where are they?" she asked. Her voice was flat. "Where are what, dear?" "The vitamins. The pills." I pointed to the kitchen counter, to the blue plastic Sunday to Saturday organizer. "Right there." Marcus just refilled it. Zoe walked past me, her boots thudding on the tile. She picked up the organizer. I sat down at the table, my head suddenly doing that awful spinning thing. She popped open Tuesday, poured the little pile of pills into her palm. There was my big, chalky blood pressure pill, a fish oil capsule, and 2 small ones I didn't recognize, a tiny peach-colored one and a pale blue one. What did you tell me these were? Zoe asked, her back to me. Well, that one. I pointed to the peach pill. Marcus said it's a new supplement from Germany, for my memory. And the blue one is just to, calm my nerves. Zoe was dead silent. I could see her shoulders tensing up. She pulled her phone from her back pocket, opened an app, and typed something. Zoe, honey, what is it? You're scaring me. She turned around slowly. Her face was pale, paler than I'd ever seen it. She looked terrified. Grandma, she said, her voice shaking. This peach pill, it's not a supplement. It's a beta blocker, a heavy-duty one, but I already take a beta blocker. The big white one. I know, Zoe whispered. You're double dosing. God, at this level, it's amazing you're even conscious. It's dropping your blood pressure through the floor. That's why you're dizzy. That's why you're foggy. It's cutting off the oxygen to your brain. My breath hitched. No, Marcus, he wouldn't. And this one? She held up the pale blue pill. The one to calm your nerves? It's a mild sedative, but it has a known interaction with beta blockers. It amplifies the effect. It makes the dizziness worse. It causes confusion. It causes forgetfulness. It was then I saw it. The hook. The one that started this whole nightmare. Grandma, who gave you these? Marcus, dear. He organizes my vitamins. Her face went white. These aren't vitamins. Call 911. No, wait. She grabbed the organizer and my purse from the counter. Don't call anyone. We're leaving. Now. What? Zoe, I don't understand. He's poisoning you, Grandma. She yelled finally, the words exploding into the quiet kitchen. Slowly. Making it look like you're falling apart. Making it look like dementia or a stroke or just old age. So when you finally tripped down the stairs or your heart just stopped in your sleep, nobody would even blink. They'd just say, oh, poor Eleanor. It was her time. She grabbed my arm, her grip surprisingly strong. We're leaving. Grab your coat. We are not going to the hospital. Dad will find us. He'll say you're senile and I'm a druggy dropout. We're going to my place. He doesn't know where I live. Pack a bag. Now. I stared at her, at the pills in her hand, and then at the photo on my fridge. A photo from happier times. Me, Arthur, Marcus, and Brenda, all smiling at a family barbecue. My children, my babies. The fog in my head wasn't from old age. It was a chemical blanket, tucked in by my own son. And as Zoe pulled me toward the door, the fog finally began to clear, and it was replaced by something else. Something cold and hard and burning like ice, rage. Zoe didn't give me time to pack. She grabbed my purse, my winter coat from the hall closet, and literally dragged me out the back door, past the dormant rose bushes Arthur had babied for 30 years. Leave the car, Grandma. He'll track it. We walked 2 blocks and I'm calling a rideshare. My legs felt like waterlogged stilts. The cold November air hit my face and I gagged, leaning against the side of the garage. The world was still tilting, the fog thick. But Zoe's words were a lighthouse beam cutting through it. He's poisoning you. Zoe. My phone. Marcus, he tracks it. It's in my purse, I stammered. Shit. Good thinking, Grandma. She yanked my purse open, grabbed my smartphone, and chucked it into the dense, overgrown hedge bordering my neighbor's property. He can track that. We hobbled down the sidewalk. My street, my beautiful, quiet, tree-lined street, suddenly looked like a movie set. Fake, hostile. Every curtained window felt like a pair of eyes. I'd lived here for 45 years. I'd hosted block parties. I'd handed out candy on Halloween. And my son was turning it into my tomb. The Uber, a beat-up silver Prius, arrived 5 minutes later. Zoe bundled me into the back and gave the driver an address across town, some random coffee shop. We'll switch cars there, she muttered, watching the street behind us as we pulled away. Can't be too careful, but... Zoe, I whispered, my throat raw. How did you know? Why did you come today? Zoe stared out the window, her reflection showing a grim, tight-lipped woman, not the purple-haired kid who'd dropped out of college. I didn't know, she said, her voice rough. Not really, but I had a feeling. I work at the pharmacy, Grandma. My dad, he's been filling some weird scripts. Not for you, not in your name. He's been getting samples. Physician samples. Piles of them. Beta blockers, sedatives. He told his doc he had high blood pressure from stress. But the dosages, they were all over the place. And I knew he was still seeing you every Sunday. She turned to look at me, her eyes burning. Then he sent me a text this morning, out of the blue. Hope you're doing well. We should get dinner. We haven't had a civil conversation in 6 months. He was checking on me, making sure I was out of the way. It felt wrong, so I skipped my shift and drove over. She saved my life because her monster of a father sent a guilty text message. The irony was so bitter I could taste it. We switched cars twice. Zoe was paranoid, and I was grateful for it. She was right. Marcus would come in, find me gone, find the pill organizer empty, and he would panic. He would call his sister. He would start hunting. Zoe's apartment was on the 4th floor of a brick walk-up that smelled like stale beer and curry. It was tiny. 1 room, really, with a kitchenette crammed against a wall and a mattress on the floor in the corner. But the windows were huge and it was filled with plants. It was alive. It's a shithole, I know, she said, bolting the door behind us. But he's never been here. He thinks I'm living in a dorm co-op. She settled me onto a lumpy futon, threw a quilt over me, and shoved a bottle of water into my hands. Drink all of it. We need to flush your system. I'm making you eat. Then you sleep. I can't sleep, I said, my hands shaking so badly the water sloshed. He tried to kill me. He is trying to kill you, Zoe corrected me, her voice hard. She went to the kitchenette and started cracking eggs into a bowl. And Aunt Brenda is in on it. No, not Brenda. She's just worried. Zoe let out a sharp, ugly laugh. Worried? Grandma, she's the one who's been building the narrative. All those calls? Mom, you sound confused. Mom, are you dizzy? Mom, did you forget to eat again? She wasn't asking. She was planting suggestions. She was building their case for when you were found at the bottom of the stairs. Oh, it's so tragic. We all knew this was coming. She was so confused lately. She slammed the bowl down. Dad's the hammer, but Aunt Brenda is the one aiming the nail. Trust me. They've been thick as thieves ever since Grandpa Arthur died. I thought back. She was right. Arthur had always been the buffer. He saw Marcus's ambition and Brenda's weakness. Her need for approval. Her jealousy. With Arthur gone, I was the only thing standing between them and the estate. Arthur had built this house. He'd built the portfolio, and he'd left it all to me. In my name. My name, the will was simple. When I died, everything was to be split 50-50 between Marcus and Brenda. The house is worth $2 million. Easy, Zoe said, reading my mind as she dumped the eggs into a hot pan. The portfolio is probably worth another one. $3 million. People have killed for a hell of a lot less. But his job, I mumbled, the sedative still dragging at my brain. He's a senior VP. He makes so much money, Zoe snorted. He was a senior VP. He got laid off 3 months ago, Grandma. The whole department was restructured. He's been living on severance and blowing through his savings trying to keep up appearances. The fancy car, the country club, the mortgage on that McMansion. He's drowning. She brought me a plate of scrambled eggs. I stared at them. How do you know that? Because I'm still on the family phone plan he forgot to kick me off of. I get the data usage alerts, and I get the emails. His bank account is linked to his phone. He's overdrawn. He's been moving money out of a joint account he shares with Aunt Brenda. He's desperate, Grandma. He's not just a little tight on cash. He's broke. And he's pissed. My phone, the one I'd left in the hedge. It started ringing. I know, that sounds crazy. But Zoe's apartment was so quiet, and her window was open a crack. My ringtone, a stupid chirpy bird song Arthur had downloaded for me. It was ringing, faint, from the street. Zoe's head snapped up. What the hell? We both ran to the window. Down on the street, parked right across from her building, was Marcus's graphite gray sedan. And standing next to it, holding my phone in his hand, was my son. He hadn't tracked the phone in my purse. He'd tracked the new one, the one he'd given me 2 weeks ago. Just so I know you're safe, Mom. It's got a Family Finder app. He wasn't panicked. He wasn't hunting. He'd known. He'd planned for this. He'd anticipated I might run. He looked up, right at Zoe's window. He couldn't see us. We were in the dark. But he smiled. A calm, easy smile. He put the phone to his ear. In the quiet of Zoe's apartment, my purse, the one sitting on the floor by the futon, began to vibrate. I'd been so out of it, I hadn't even realized. He must have slipped a second phone in, a burner phone, on one of his Sunday visits, a tracker, a listening device. He'd been listening. He'd heard everything. He'd heard Zoe. He'd heard our whole plan. Zoe dove for the purse, ripped it open, and found the small black burner phone tucked in the lining. She stared at it, her face ashen. Marcus was still on the street below. He waved, then he got back in his car. He didn't drive away. He just sat there, waiting. The trap hadn't failed. It had just gotten bigger. It wasn't just my house. It was the whole city. He'd let us run to the one person he knew I'd trust. He'd followed us to Zoe. My heart, which had been hammering with fear, suddenly went still. The fog was gone. The dizziness, the confusion, all burned away. My son was out there thinking he had me cornered. Thinking I was a frail, confused old woman. He'd miscalculated. He'd poisoned me just enough to make me sick, but not enough to make me stupid. He'd forgotten who I was. I was Eleanor Vance, I was Arthur's wife, and I was the one who taught Marcus how to play chess. "Get away from the window, Zoe," I said. My voice wasn't shaking anymore. It was cold. He's not waiting. He's gloating. Let's give him a show. Zoe stared at the burner phone in her hand like it was a live grenade. He heard us. He heard everything. She scrambled back from the window, pulling me with her. He knows I know about the pills. He knows I know he got fired. Oh my God, Grandma, he's not just trying to kill you anymore. He has to shut me up too. Her voice was high and thin, cracking with a panic I fully understood, but seeing her fear had the strangest effect on me. It was like a bucket of ice water, extinguishing the last sputtering embers of my fog and leaving behind a cold, sharp clarity. The frail, dizzy old woman Marcus had been carefully cultivating for months, she was gone. "Stop it, Zoe," I said. My voice was low and it didn't shake. "He wants you to panic. He's sitting down there gloating. He thinks he's just cornered two hysterical women. He thinks I'm a senile invalid and you're a flaky dropout." I walked back to the window, staying deep in the shadows of her apartment, and peeked through the blinds. The graphite gray sedan was still there, a dark lump under the sickly orange glow of the streetlight. He was just sitting, waiting. He was enjoying this. He was savoring the moment he'd trapped us. That was Marcus. Arrogant. Always so damn sure he was the smartest person in any room. "He's right," Zoe whispered, sinking onto the futon. "We're on the 4th floor. There's one elevator and one set of stairs. He's watching the front door. We're trapped." "No," I said, turning from the window. "We're inconvenienced." "There's a fire escape." Zoe looked up. "It's old. It's rusty." "Grandma, you can't—" "I can do whatever I have to do," I snapped. Arthur didn't raise a victim, and I didn't raise— well, I stopped. I did raise Marcus. I raised Brenda, and that was a guilt I'd have to deal with later. Right now it was fuel. "Okay," I said, pacing her small room. My mind was suddenly racing, connecting dots that had been blurry for months. "Let's think. What do we have?" "We have eggs and no way out," Zoe said, dropping her head into her hands. "Wrong." I pointed at the pill organizer she'd thrown on her kitchenette counter. "We have that. The pills are gone, but the residue is there. It's our only physical proof. Put it in a plastic bag. Don't wipe it." I pointed at the burner phone. "And we have that. It's a tracker, but it's also a link. A link he paid for. A mistake. He got arrogant." "What about Brenda?" I asked. Zoe looked up confused. "What about her?" "Your father is the hammer, you said. But she's the one who was building the narrative. She's the weak one. Marcus is sitting down there, cool as a cucumber, playing the predator. But Brenda, I guarantee you she is not calm right now. She's been calling me all day, I'm sure of it. I'd bet my life she's blowing up Marcus's real phone right now, asking where we are, what's happening, if the plan is ruined. She's the one who will crack. So what? We can't call her, Zoe said. No, we don't have to. We just have to use her. My brain was on fire. Marcus is smart, but he's an engineer. He thinks in straight lines. A leads to B leads to C. He thinks, I trap them, they panic, I wait them out, they make a mistake, I win. He's not expecting us to break the pattern, I continued, thinking aloud. He's expecting us to hide or call the cops. Why can't we call the cops? Zoe pleaded. And say what? My son is trying to kill me with vitamins? He'll show them my confused texts. He'll have my worried daughter back him up. He'll say you're a disgruntled, drug-using dropout who kidnapped her senile grandmother. He's been laying the groundwork for months, Zoe. It's my word against his, and he has spent 2 months making sure my word means nothing. I looked at her. No, we don't call the cops. We get them leverage so strong they have no choice but to arrest him. How, Grandma? We can't even leave the building. We need 2 things, I said, my gaze landing on her laptop. We need to prove his motive, and we need to separate him from Brenda. We need to make the 2 of them turn on each other. I pointed to the laptop. You said you found out he was broke. Show me. Show me everything. For the next hour, we didn't look at the window. Zoe, her hands flying across the keyboard, became a different person. Not a pharmacy tech, but a digital scalpel. He didn't kick me off the phone plan. But he also didn't kick me off the family cloud storage, she muttered. He's not just broke, Grandma. He's... Holy hell. She turned the screen to me. It was a letter from the bank. Foreclosure proceedings. On his McMansion. The date was 2 weeks from now. He's not just drowning, Grandma. The water is already in his lungs. There was more. Emails between him and Brenda's husband, Rick. Rick, the .com bust, who hadn't worked a real job in a decade. Marcus. Brenda is getting nervous. She says your mother sounds too sharp on the phone this week. An email from my son, dated a month ago. Tell Brenda to stick to the script. The new supplements will take care of her sharpness. I just need 2 more weeks. The house appraisal came through. We just need to get her to sign the new power of attorney, the one giving me control of the estate assets. If she won't sign it, the other method will be faster. My blood ran cold. The other method. He had a backup plan. The poisoning was plan A. Make me so confused I'd sign away my own house. Plan B was just to finish the job. He was going to kill you either way, Zoe whispered, her face pale. This was just... Which path he took. Print it, I said, my voice a rasp. Print all of it. Grandma, I don't have a printer. Of course you don't. I looked around the tiny apartment. My eyes landed on a USB drive plugged into her laptop, the one with a little purple troll doll on it. Put it on that. Everything. The bank letter. The emails between him and Rick. The scripts you found. Everything. Zoe did it in 30 seconds flat. Done. Now what? We're still in the apartment and he's still down there. Now, I said, walking to the door. We give him what he wants. What? A target? No, a distraction. I took a deep breath. He's watching the front door. He's an engineer, methodical. He's probably got all the exits mapped. But he's also a man. An arrogant, furious man who just had his multi-million-dollar plan blown up by a pharmacy tech. I grabbed her hand. You're going to walk out the front door. What? He'll grab me. He won't touch you. Not in public, not yet. He's not a street thug. He's a respectable man. He'll follow you. He has to. He can't let you get away. He has to know where you're going. You're the loose end. And where am I going? She asked, her eyes wide. You're going to the 24-hour pharmacy 3 blocks down. You're going to call the cops. You're going to make a scene. And what are you doing? I smiled. It was a cold, hard, unfamiliar thing. He's an engineer. He's methodical. But is he methodical enough to watch the front door and the rusty, garbage-filled back alley fire escape at the same time? He's focused on you, the threat. I'm just the confused old lady. He's forgotten about me. No, Zoe said, shaking her head. No, I'm not leaving you. He's got Rick, What if Brenda's out there? What if they're both out there? That gave me pause. She was right. Marcus was the hammer, Brenda was the narrative, and Rick was the gopher. The muscle. We go together, I said, changing the plan. Down the fire escape. It's the only way he won't be looking. He's watching the front, waiting for us to crack. Zoe grabbed the bagged-up pill organizer and the USB drive, shoving them deep into the pockets of her hoodie. She grabbed a small, heavy-looking flashlight from a drawer. Okay, let's go. We opened her apartment door. The hallway was silent. We moved past the elevator, toward the emergency exit at the end of the hall. The door creaked open, revealing the dark, narrow stairwell. Wait, Zoe whispered. She cracked the stairwell door and listened. From 2 floors below us, we heard a sound. A man clearing his throat. Someone was in the stairwell, waiting. My heart stopped. Marcus. He hadn't just watched the front. He'd put someone on the stairs. He'd boxed us in. Zoe's eyes met mine, wide with terror. Then, from the pocket of my coat, the burner phone Marcus had planted on me began to ring. It wasn't a call. It was a text alert, one single horrifying chime that echoed in the concrete stairwell. The man below us now knew exactly where we were. We heard the heavy thump of footsteps, not going down, but coming up, fast. The chime from the burner phone was a death knell. It echoed in the concrete stairwell, a digital "I see you" from the man below. The footsteps, which had been cautious, turned into a frantic, thundering charge. "The roof!" Zoe screamed, yanking the emergency exit door shut and fumbling for a lock that wasn't there. It didn't matter. A heavy shoulder slammed against it from the other side. The man was right there. "Up! Go, Grandma, go!" She didn't have to tell me twice. I grabbed the railing and hauled myself up the last flight of stairs, my 72-year-old knees screaming in protest. The poison was still in my system. I was dizzy, and my heart hammered in a way that felt wrong. But the adrenaline was a wildfire, burning away the weakness. Fear is one hell of a stimulant. Zoe was right behind me, shoving at my back, pushing me faster. The man below us was yelling, but his words were lost in the heavy thump, thump, thump of his boots on the metal treads. He was close. We burst through the final door onto the roof. The cold night air hit me like a physical blow. We were on a flat, gravel-covered roof, surrounded by the glow of the city. The door slammed shut behind us. "There's no lock," Zoe yelled, pulling on the metal bar. The door flew open, and he spilled out, stumbling onto the gravel. It wasn't Marcus. It was Rick, Brenda's husband. He was bigger than I remembered, fleshy and soft in a gray tracksuit, but his eyes were hard. He was panting, his face slick with sweat. Just give it to me, Zoe," he wheezed, holding up a hand. "He's pissed. He's not messing around. Just give him the drive and he'll be reasonable." "Reasonable?" Zoe's voice was pure ice. She shoved me behind her, shielding me with her small body. Like he was reasonable with the pills? "Get the hell away from us, Rick." "Don't be a stupid kid," Rick snarled, taking a step. He was blocking the only door. "He heard everything. He knows you're a liability. He's not just after your grandma anymore." He lunged. He was clumsy, but he was heavy. He went for Zoe, grabbing at the front of her hoodie, right where she'd pocketed the USB drive. "No!" I shrieked, batting at him with my purse, but Zoe was faster. She'd been a flaky dropout, but she'd also lived alone in a bad neighborhood. As he grabbed her, she twisted, jamming her knee into his groin. He grunted, his grip loosening, and in that split second she ripped her hand from her other pocket. It wasn't a flashlight. It was a small black can, pepper spray. She sprayed him point blank in the face. The scream that tore out of Rick's throat was nothing human. It was a wet, agonizing howl. He clawed at his eyes, his face instantly red and streaming. "I can't see! God, I can't see!" He stumbled back, crashing into a metal vent pipe. "The fire escape," I said, my voice hoarse, pointing to the side of the building. "Now!" We didn't wait to see what Rick did. We scrambled to the edge of the roof, to the rickety metal ladder that led down. It was steep, narrow, and slick with a light mist. My hands, thin and papery, gripped the cold metal. I can't, Zoe." "Yes, you can," she said, her voice a steel rod. "He's blind, not deaf. He's going to start yelling. Go!" She swung her legs over and got on the ladder below me. "I've got you, Grandma." "Your foot, there, now the other one." "Don't look down. Just go." We clanged our way down, one terrifying rung at a time. The metal groaned under our combined weight. Rick was still screaming on the roof, a string of curses that echoed between the buildings. We were on the last platform, maybe 15 feet above the alley when the headlights hit us. A car screeched around the corner, its high beams pinning us against the brick wall like terrified animals. It was the graphite gray sedan. Marcus. He must have heard Rick's screams. He slammed the car into park and jumped out, his face a mask of pure, unfiltered rage. He was no longer the calm, collected predator. This was the man who'd just lost $3 million. "Mom!" he bellowed, his voice cracking. "Get down here. Get in the car now. You don't know what you're doing." "I know exactly what I'm doing, Marcus," I yelled back, surprised by the strength in my own voice. I was high on adrenaline and fury. "I know about the pills. I know about the foreclosure. I know you tried to murder me! For a second, he looked stunned. He'd never heard me speak to him like that. That 1 second of shock was all he gave me before the rage returned. You're confused. You're sick! Zoe did this. She's been feeding you lies. He ran to the base of the fire escape and looked up, grabbing for the ladder. But the bottom section was retractable. It was locked in the up position, 6 feet above his head. He jumped, his fingers brushing the bottom rung, but he couldn't get a grip. We were safe. And we were trapped. We were 15 feet in the air, with a blinded thug on the roof above us, and a furious murderer on the ground below. You're not going anywhere. Marcus screamed, fumbling for his phone. I'm calling 911 right now. I'm telling them my druggy, unstable daughter kidnapped my senile mother and is holding her hostage. Who do you think they're going to believe, Mom? My blood ran cold. He was right. He'd spent months building the narrative. We were just 2 hysterical women on a fire escape. He's right, I whispered to Zoe, my panic returning. Zoe wasn't listening to me. She was looking down. Grandma, the dumpster. Directly below the platform was a large green industrial dumpster. It was overflowing with black trash bags. Zoe, no. I can't. It's too far. It's 10 feet. It's full of garbage. It's soft, she said, already swinging her legs over the railing. He's talking to the dispatcher right now. We have maybe 30 seconds. I can't. Yes, you can. Do you want to go with him? I looked down at my son. His face, illuminated from below by his phone screen, was a stranger's. It was cold, calculating, and full of hate. He'd kill me. He'd find a way. He'd have me declared incompetent and locked in a home where he could finish the job at his leisure. Okay, I said, my voice shaking. Okay, drop, Zoe commanded. She let go and hit the bags with a soft thwump. She grunted but was on her feet in a second, looking up at me. Your turn, Grandma. Now, I closed my eyes. I thought of Arthur. I thought of the fog, and then I let go. The fall was terrifying. I hit the bags hard, the breath knocked out of me. The smell of rotting coffee grounds and sour milk filled my nose. But I was down. I was alive. They're in the alley. They're running. Marcus was screaming into his phone. Zoe grabbed my arm and pulled me out of the dumpster. Run! Don't look back! We scrambled out of the alley, my coat snagging on the dumpster's rusty edge. We burst onto a different street, a main road with cars and lights. We were covered in filth. I was breathing like a freight train, but we were free. In here, Zoe panted, pulling me toward a 24-hour diner. The fluorescent lights felt like a sanctuary. We slid into a booth in the back, shielded from the windows. I was shaking, my entire body humming. I stank of garbage. Okay, Zoe said, pushing her purple-streaked hair out of her eyes. We're out. We have the drive. She patted her hoodie pocket. But he's called the cops. They're looking for us right now. For you, as a missing endangered person. We can't use our phones. We can't use your credit cards. We're fugitives. She looked at me, her eyes wide. What do we do now? I took a deep breath, the smell of burnt coffee and grease filling my lungs. The fog was gone. The fear was ebbing, replaced by that same cold, hard clarity. He's hunting us, I said. He and Rick. They are focused on me and you. They're the A-team. But he's forgotten about the B-team. The one sitting at home, probably having a full-blown panic attack. Brenda, Zoe whispered. Brenda, I confirmed. Marcus is arrogant. He thinks he has it all under control. But Brenda is a coward. She's terrified of him, and I guarantee she's even more terrified of getting caught. She's the weak link. She's the one we break. So we go to her house? Call her? No, I said, thinking fast. We can't go near her. Marcus will expect that, and we can't trust the police. Not yet. We need an ally. Someone who isn't a cop. Someone Marcus would never ever suspect. And someone who has a very good reason to want to see him burn. Zoe looked confused. Who? I looked at my granddaughter, the only person in my family who hadn't tried to kill me. Your mother, I said. Linda, Marcus's ex-wife. Zoe was watching me, her young face streaked with alley grime and lit by the diner's sickly green fluorescent light. My mom, Grandma, she hates my dad, yeah, but she's not exactly stable. He did a number on her. She might not believe us. She might even call him just to spite him. No, I said, a strange certainty settling in my bones. He humiliated her. He took her money, he took her reputation, and he tried to take you. He made her look crazy. She's the only person who will understand what he's doing to me. We go to Linda. Okay, Zoe said, taking a shaky breath. Okay, but we can't show up like this. We smell like a week-old fish fry, and we have no car, no money. She looked down at her hoodie, the one with Rick's greasy handprint on it. Wait, yes we do. I have cash. My runaway fund. It's in a storage unit 6 blocks from here. I have clothes there too. A go bag! The waitress came over, her face a mask of polite disgust. More coffee, ladies? Just the check, Zoe said, sliding out of the booth. And can you point us to the restrooms? We paid in cash, the last few crumpled bills from my purse, and walked to the back. The bathroom was a tiny, cold room that smelled of bleach and despair. We scrubbed our hands and faces at the rusty sink, using coarse paper towels to wipe the worst of the dumpster filth from our coats. It was a pathetic attempt, but it was something. We looked like refugees, not a grandmother and her granddaughter. Okay, Zoe whispered, cracking the door. We walk out the back. Act normal. Don't run. Nobody's looking for us here. They're looking for us back at the apartment, or at the house. The night air was a shock again, but this time it was sharp and clarifying. We walked, not daring to look over our shoulders. Every siren, every distant shout made me jump, but Zoe was a rock. She guided me through a maze of side streets and alleys I never knew existed, her steps certain. She'd been living a life I knew nothing about. Her storage unit was a grim, multi-story building with keypad entry. She punched in a code and we hurried down a long, dim hallway to a small roll-up door. She undid the padlock, and inside I saw her secret life. Canvases, boxes of art supplies, a sleeping bag, and a small metal lockbox. She opened it and pulled out a thick envelope. $3,000, she said, her voice grim. I've been saving it for 2 years. For a new start. Guess this is it. She tossed me a pair of black sweatpants and a dark blue zip-up hoodie. They're men's, but they're clean. She changed into a similar anonymous outfit, pulling a dark beanie over her purple hair. In 5 minutes, we were 2 different people. Just 2 drab, forgettable women in the dark. Now what? I asked, zipping up the hoodie. A cab? A rideshare? No, Zoe said, her mind working fast. He'll track the rideshare. The driver will remember us. We take the bus. The L14. It runs all night. It'll take over an hour, but it's anonymous. It's a straight shot to Lake Oswego, Mom's neighborhood. The bus ride was the longest hour of my life. We sat in the back, the plastic seats cold. The only other passengers were a security guard sleeping with his mouth open, and a young woman listening to music so loud I could hear the tinny tsk-tsk-tsk of it. I watched the dark city slide by. I couldn't stop thinking about Marcus. I remembered when Linda first came home for dinner. She was bright, ambitious, and she'd been a lawyer. Marcus had been so proud. But after Zoe was born, that changed. He'd encouraged her to quit, to focus on the family. Then during the divorce, he'd used it against her. He'd told Arthur and me that she was unstable and financially irresponsible. He'd said she was a bad mother. He'd painted her as crazy, a drunk. And we, God forgive me, we believed him. We'd taken his side. He wasn't just poisoning me. He'd been poisoning us against her for a decade. He was projecting. I whispered to Zoe, the realization hitting me like a physical blow. Everything he accused her of. Being greedy, being unstable. It was him. He was telling us exactly who he was. Zoe just nodded, her jaw tight. Yeah, I know. We got off the bus in a neighborhood so quiet it felt like a tomb. Lake Oswego. The air smelled like pine needles and money. Linda's condo was a neat, tasteful place in a brick complex. Nothing like the McMansion Marcus was about to lose. It was almost 4 a.m. when Zoe rang the bell. A light flicked on. The door opened a crack held by a chain. A woman's eye, sharp and suspicious, peered out. Zoe? Mom, let us in, please. The chain slid. The door opened. Linda Vance, my ex-daughter-in-law, stood there in a pale blue silk robe. Her hair was perfectly coiffed, even in the middle of the night. She looked impeccable. Then her eyes landed on us, our baggy, mismatched clothes, my gray, terrified face. My God, she breathed. Zoe, what have you done? Did you, Eleanor? What is going on? Mom, just let us in. We're in trouble. Cops, Zoe said, pushing inside. Linda's face hardened, her hospitality vanishing. Zoe, I told you. I'm not... If you're on something again, I'm not, and you dragged your grandmother into it? I'm not on anything, Zoe snapped. He's trying to kill her, Mom. Who? What are you talking about? Linda was looking at me, her expression a mix of pity and annoyance. Eleanor, are you all right? Marcus has been calling me. He said, Zoe, he said you're sick, that she took you. He's worried sick. That's when I saw the true genius of my son. He hadn't just built the narrative for the police. He'd built it for everyone. He'd already poisoned the well. He's a liar, I said. My voice was low and it cut through the tension. Linda blinked, surprised. I wasn't the mousy, frail woman she remembered from family holidays. Hello, Linda, I said, pulling down the hood. Your ex-husband hasn't been worried. He's been busy. He's been systematically poisoning me for 2 months, trying to make me seem senile so he could steal my house before the bank takes his. And when we found out, he sent his oaf of a brother-in-law to kill us on a rooftop. Linda just stared. Eleanor, that's a horrible thing to say. You're not well, am I? Zoe said, her voice shaking with rage. She marched over to Linda's sleek, expensive laptop on the desk, yanked the purple Troll USB drive from her pocket, and slammed it into the port. You think we're crazy? You think I'm the druggie? Read it. She clicked open the file. The emails. The ones from Marcus to Rick. Linda leaned in, her eyes scanning the text. I watched her. The color drained from her face. Her hand, perfectly manicured, went to her throat. She read the line. The new supplements will take care of her sharpness. Oh my God, she whispered. Keep reading, Zoe said, clicking to the next file. The foreclosure notice, the overdrawn bank statements. Linda sank into her desk chair. She was silent for a full minute, her eyes tracing the words on the screen. She was seeing the man she knew. The one who had bankrupted her, the one who had lied in court, the one who had tried to take her daughter. When she finally looked up, her eyes were not soft. They were not filled with pity. They were chips of ice. That son of a bitch, she whispered, her voice a low, dangerous hiss. He's not just a liar. He's not just a thief. He's his father's son, but without the conscience. She stood up. The fragile, unstable woman was gone. In her place was the prosecutor I'd met 25 years ago. Okay, Linda said. All business. You're fugitives. He has the cops on his side. We can't go to them. Not yet. We need more. We need one of them to flip. Brenda, I said. Linda smiled. A thin, cold, terrifying smile. Brenda, the worried daughter. The one who's probably chewing her fingernails to the quick right now, terrified Marcus has screwed it all up. She's the weak link. Marcus is the hammer. Rick is the muscle. But Brenda is the one who will shatter. She picked up her smartphone. You two are dead. You don't exist. You stay in this house. You don't answer the door. You don't touch a phone. I'm going to handle this. What are you going to do? Zoe asked, her voice small. Linda scrolled through her contacts, her thumb stopping on a name. Brenda and I never had much to say to each other. She always thought I was trash. But I think it's time we had a little girl talk. She hit the call button and put the phone on speaker. We listened to the ring. Once. Twice. A frantic, high-pitched voice answered. Hello? Hello? Marcus, is that you? Oh my God, is it done? Did you... Hello, Brenda. Linda purred, her voice like silk-wrapped steel. This isn't Marcus. It's Linda. We have a lot to talk about, starting with the attempted murder of your mother. There was a sharp gasp on the other end, and then the distinct, panicked sound of someone choking on their own terror. The gasp on the other end of the line was wet and sharp, followed by a choked, gagging sound. Brenda was in full-blown panic. Who? Linda, I don't know what you're talking about. Marcus he said Mom was missing. He said Zoe... Linda cut her off, her voice like a razor. Save it, Brenda. I'm looking at an email right now. An email from your husband, Rick, to my ex-husband, Marcus. He's telling Marcus that you were worried Mom sounded too sharp this week. And Marcus replies, let me read it. Tell Brenda to stick to the script. The new supplements will take care of her sharpness. There was dead, cold silence on the line. Even over the speakerphone, I could hear Brenda's shallow, rapid breathing. He told me they were vitamins, she finally shrieked. He said she was getting frail. He said she could fall. I didn't know he meant, oh God, you knew, Linda said, her voice devoid of any pity. "You knew or you chose not to know. Either way, it's conspiracy to commit murder. Rick is an accessory. You're both going to prison right alongside Marcus. He's been promising you half of a $3 million estate, hasn't he? Well, right now, I'm the only person who can offer you a deal that doesn't involve a state-issued jumpsuit." "What? What deal?" Brenda whispered, sniffling. That was my cue. I leaned into the phone. "Brenda." The sound that came out of her was a terrible, broken wail. "Mom? Mommy?"
You're alive!
"Oh God, Mom, I'm so sorry." It was Marcus. It was all him. He pushed me. He said you'd cut us out. He said He said I was senile. I finished for her. He said I was a burden. And you believed him because you wanted the money. You've always been weak, Brenda. Please. Please, Mom, I'll do anything.
I'll tell the police.
You won't talk to the police, Linda snapped, taking back control. "Not yet. You're going to talk to Marcus. You're going to call him right now. You're going to tell him that I, Linda, called you and that I'm trying to blackmail you. You're going to tell him that Zoe has run off, but Mom is scared and wants to come home, that she's confused and wants him. He'll never believe it," Brenda sobbed. "He'll believe it because he's an arrogant pig who thinks I'm a crazy drunk and you're a sniveling coward," Linda said. "And he'll believe it because he still needs Eleanor's signature on that power of attorney before the bank forecloses on his precious McMansion. He's desperate. He'll come. Where do I tell him to go?" Linda looked at me, a slow, predatory smile spreading across her face. "Not the house, not here. A place he controls. A place he can lock. Tell him. You're taking Mom to the old family storage unit, the one off the freeway. Tell him to meet you there in 20 minutes. Tell him you'll get Mom inside and he just needs to come and handle it." Zoe's face was white. "Grandma, no. It's a trap." "Yes," I said, meeting Linda's icy gaze. "It is." The next 20 minutes were a blur. Linda gave Brenda her script, drilling her like a hostile witness until her fake story sounded like the God's honest, terrified truth. We heard the call. Brenda, choking on real tears, told Marcus that Mom was scared, that Zoe had run off, and that I was hiding with her at the storage unit, B12. Marcus didn't hesitate. His voice was cold and angry. "You did one thing right. Lock her in the unit. Rick and I are on our way. Don't let her out. Don't talk to her. We'll handle it. And we'll handle Linda." He hung up. Linda was already on her own phone, not to 911, but to a single direct number. "Detective Miller," she said, her voice pure business. "It's Linda Vance. Yeah, long time. How would you like to wrap up an attempted murder and a conspiracy charge in the next 15 minutes? I've got your primary suspect, his 2 accomplices, and a USB drive full of evidence all gift-wrapped for you at the public storage on 82nd Avenue. Unit B12, yes, and Miller? I want you to make sure he sees my face when you do it." She hung up and grabbed her car keys. "Zoe, Eleanor, let's go." We're going?" I whispered. "Oh, you're damn right," Linda said, pulling a coat over her silk robe. "This isn't just your revenge, Eleanor. It's mine too." The storage facility was a ghost town, a sprawling complex of orange roll-up doors under buzzing, fly-covered lights. Brenda's SUV was parked by Unit B12, her head down on the steering wheel. We parked 2 rows over, hidden in the shadows. Linda pointed. "Miller's here. That blue sedan. Unmarked. They're waiting." We didn't have to wait long. The graphite gray sedan screeched to a halt. Marcus and Rick jumped out. Marcus didn't even look at his sister. He stalked past her, Rick at his heels, and went straight for the unit. He pulled a thick padlock from his pocket. "He's going to lock her in," Zoe whispered, her hand gripping mine. "Mom," Marcus banged on the metal door. "Mom, it's me! Brenda, let me in! Open the door! We have to go!" He paused, then cursed. He fiddled with the latch and slid the heavy door up with a deafening rattle. He stepped inside, expecting to find me cowering in the dark. "Now," Linda hissed. In a split second, the world exploded. 2 unmarked cars flashed their lights, pinning Marcus in the unit's opening like a terrified rat. Floodlights from the roof of the building snapped on, bathing the entire row in brilliant white. "Portland PD.
Hands in the air! Do it now!"
Detective Miller, a big man in a rumpled suit, stepped out, his gun level. Rick, the muscle, put his hands up so fast he almost hit himself in the face. He started babbling. "I didn't do anything. It was him. It was all Marcus. He made me." But Marcus just stood there, frozen in the doorway. He was holding a sheaf of papers. The power of attorney. His face was a mask of utter, complete disbelief. He slowly turned his head, his eyes scanning the chaos. And then they found us. He saw Linda, he saw Zoe, and then he saw me. I got out of the car. I stood next to Detective Miller as one of his officers cuffed Rick, and a stony-faced female officer led a sobbing, hysterical Brenda away. I walked right up to my son as they pulled his hands behind his back. He stared at me. The fog of his poison was long gone. My mind was a diamond. He looked at me, the confused, frail, senile old woman. "Mom?" he whispered, his voice cracking. You did this?" I looked into the eyes of the child I had raised, the man who had tried to poison me for profit. There was no love left. There was just pity and ice. "No, Marcus," I said, my voice clear and steady in the cold night air. "You did this. You got arrogant. You and your sister. You forgot that while you were busy building the narrative, I was the one who built the whole damn story. You were trying to take a queen when she was already in checkmate." His face crumpled. In that 1 second, he saw it all. The house, the money, his freedom, his reputation. Gone. All of it. Gone. Because he'd underestimated me. 6 months later, I was sitting on the balcony of my new condo. It was bright, airy, and overlooked the river. I'd sold the house. Arthur's house. It was just a building, and it was a tomb filled with bad memories. I sold it, and every last stick of furniture in it. Zoe came out, holding 2 mugs of coffee. She'd dyed her hair back to its natural brown, but she'd kept the nose ring. She'd re-enrolled in school, but not for pharmacy. Forensics. "You got a letter," she said, handing it to me. It was from my lawyer. The last of the estate was settled. Marcus had been convicted, thanks to the emails, the pill residue, and Brenda's desperate, all-encompassing testimony. He got 15 years. Rick got 5. Brenda, for flipping, got 2 years of probation and a lifetime of knowing she'd sold her soul for nothing. I took the check. From the house sale. All $2 million of it, and I'd already signed it over as he watched. Me as I looked at the confirmation. "You really did it, huh? You gave it all away?" "Not all of it," I said, sipping my coffee. "I'd set up an ironclad trust for Zoe's education. The rest? Every last cent of the money my children had tried to kill me for? I donated it to the Linda Vance Foundation for the Protection of the Elderly, a new legal aid fund I'd established to fight elder abuse and financial exploitation. Linda was running it, of course. She was a shark, and I'd finally pointed her at the right people. My name is Eleanor Vance. I'm 73 years old. My son is in prison, and my daughter can't look me in the eye. But my granddaughter is going to be a forensic scientist. My ex-daughter-in-law is my best friend. And I am finally, for the first time in my life, completely, utterly, and dangerously free.